Welcome to the Savvy Giving Gal podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Turilli-Smith. And today we have a truly inspiring guest, Kerry Maunus. Kerry, alongside her business partner, April George, co-created Turkey on the Table. For those of you just learning about what has fast become a tradition for so many, Turkey on the Table is a unique book and activity set that encourages families to celebrate gratitude in a meaningful way during the Thanksgiving holiday season, and really to make thankfulness a part of everyday life. Turkey on the Table has captured hearts nationwide and has been spotlighted in top publications like People Magazine, Good Housekeeping, USA Today, and even featured on Good Morning America and ABC News. But what makes this project even more special is its impact on giving back. For every turkey sold, Kerry and her team donate 10 meals to Feeding America. And to date, they have provided an incredible 1.5 million meals. Hi, Kerry. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm so excited you're here. So growing up in a big Italian family, we had so many traditions. And most traditions were centered around family and food. I can remember my grandpa during Easter time, and he's 101 now, he would put on these bunny ears and he would hop around the house, and all 16 grandkids would hop behind him, and we'd hop through the yard, and we would go and on an Easter egg hunt, and he would give us $1 for every golden egg we would find. And back then, $1 was a lot of money.
Yes.
Or on Sundays, we would have family dinner at my grandma's house. And every Sunday she would make rice balls, which are my favorite, and homemade pasta. And I really looked forward to doing that. And so when I moved to California, I wanted to bring those traditions here with me. And I wanted to start new traditions with my family. And so Turkey on the Table has become one of those traditions with my children that we have been doing for the past 10 years. And today, Kerry, I want to explore how important being thankful is and how cultivating grateful hearts helps create happy children, happy families, and happy communities. But first, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi. Well, thank you so much for that great introduction. And I think it's most meaningful that people have adopted this as a Thanksgiving tradition, and families like yours are using Turkey on the Table on a regular basis every year. And to introduce myself, I live in the Bay Area right next to you.
Yes.
So this was nice and close and easy and fun.
I love it.
And I'm the mom of 3 boys, and my husband works in the Bay Area as well. I have one that just went off to college, which is crazy to say out loud, and 2 kids in high school. And so my kids have grown up here, and now they're kind of starting to leave the nest, which is fun and also sad at the same time.
I know. And I have really watched Kerry's kids grow up, so it's a little bit sad and exciting for me as well. So let's go back 10 years now. Can you share how Turkey on the Table came to be?
Yeah, sure. I moved here from the Chicagoland area, and I was new here and kind of getting my feet on the ground and getting the kids enrolled in school and kind of being a mom exclusively. And I noticed that here, but not just here, everywhere, kids were growing up differently than maybe I grew up. And some of the people I knew grew up, and it was that they're getting things more easily. And we are, as parents, trying to give them a great life, which I don't blame on anyone, but I also wanted to make sure that my kids were grounded and appreciative for the things they were getting. I knew it wasn't their fault that we were being generous with them, and it was something we wanted to do. But I also wanted to have the context, them to have the context that not everyone grows up that way, and have the ability to see and appreciate what they have. Mm-hmm. So that's really where it started. And April and I had children at the same preschool, and she had just moved here, and I noticed that she looked like a new person and just kind of looking around and not knowing people. And I met her at church, and I went up and introduced myself, and we started to go for walks after preschool drop-off, and that's kind of how the idea started, and then it kind of went from there.
I love it. I can appreciate, when my kids were little as well, and, Turkey on the Table is a big part of that for our family. Growing up in this affluent community, I really, really wanted to make sure that they had all the tools and all the knowledge in place, that it just wasn't about things, that it really was about being thankful for their parents or their food or kind of more basic things and it's okay. Sometimes they do write down their toys or, their cars now or whatever. But back then it was really important for them to see beyond, the things that they were getting. And so I can really appreciate how the two of you would have made that a priority, in your home. So can you describe the product and how it works?
Yes. So Turkey on the Table kind of started from an idea that you would see at preschools or things where people would draw their hands and write on the feathers. But there was nothing that came contained in a kit. And we always call it like the lazy mom scrapbooking. There's moms who are super crafty and we weren't.
Yeah.
But we figured there had to be moms out there that were just like us that didn't want to put something like that together, but wanted the visual display of gratitude on their table. So Turkey on the Table is a kit. It comes in a box. It can be found on Amazon or on our website, but it comes with the turkey, which is a knit turkey that stands, and then a set of feathers, and that's what you write what you're grateful for on. And then slowly, either the day of Thanksgiving or through the month, you build the turkey with its grateful feathers on the tail, and then it sits proudly on your table at Thanksgiving and displays your family's gratitude or your friends or whoever has filled out the feathers. And it also comes with a storybook that I wrote with my sister.
Oh.
And it just, if you have young kids, it's meant to explain the activity and why it's important to be grateful, but also how the turkey builds each day and it sits proudly on your table at the end. And it's really kind of getting them from the beginning to the end of the product to see what it's supposed to mean. But yeah, so the kit comes with everything you need, and then you just order new feathers each year. And the goal is to keep the feathers from the past and kind of throw them in the box or whatever you do so that you can go back and see what your kids have written down through the years and see how their handwriting has changed and see how the things they're thankful for has changed.
Okay. Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, anyone who is looking for a set activity for their kids of any age, we've been doing this now. You're 10 years old, which is so exciting. This is year 10 for you. It's crazy. So when they were little, it was a fun activity that we did together, but the kids got used to the tradition, which, like I said, traditions are super important in families. And they still want to, at 15, write down every Thanksgiving what they're thankful for throughout the month. And at first we would make them do it, but now they look forward to doing that. So cute. I know you were on a walk and at church and meeting April, but we're really inspired you to use Thanksgiving as the time where you were going to create a product that highlighted gratitude and thankfulness.
Well, I think thankfulness and Thanksgiving kind of go hand in hand, but ironically, April and I both found out about each other that it's our favorite holiday. Because I think it's because no gifts are exchanged. It's just your family or friends sitting down for a nice meal together. And there are no expectations really for Thanksgiving. And so I think it worked perfectly for a time to gather with people that you love and sit down for a nice meal. And I think the visual display, a lot of people used to go around or still do go around and say something they're thankful for aloud at their tables. But we've gotten many notes through our customer service email address saying we've done it for years when we go around the table. But now that we do it on the feathers, it's become even more meaningful, or it was the most meaningful of any years we've done it. Some of the people write us that they've had feathers that they've found when they take it out from people who've passed away, and it made them remember them at that holiday. So, it's just, that's what really keeps us going, is the genuine appreciation for, a continued tradition for some people or a new tradition for others. And the fact that so many people rebuy the feathers from our website each year means they're actually using it, which I tell April every year. I'm like, this is what's so exciting for me. It's not necessarily the new turkeys we sell. It's the replacement feathers that we sell, because it means people are actually using it.
Yeah,
so they need to replace them.
Absolutely. And every time you get a feather sale, it's like someone is making memories in their home, and you facilitated those memories, because even though the Thanksgiving has come and gone, that tradition creates these memories for children and their families together. And those never go away. Those kind of things never go away. As your kids have grown up, how do you think that this has shaped them as young men? Because I know them and they are fabulous young men. And I'm wondering if you feel like this has been a part of that.
I think the answer to that is kind of twofold. First of all, I would never say my kids are more grateful than other people's kids. I would say that they've definitely grown up being more aware of that. And I really encourage them, to make that a daily or weekly or, a habit where they look for things that they're thankful for in their lives, even when, I'm not facilitating it or it's not the month of November and they're not filling out feathers. Mm-hmm. But I also think seeing me take something from an idea to fruition and actually getting it on Amazon and in stores and getting, I think that has also been impactful to them. So I think they've been impacted by, the practice of gratitude and just seeing it and participating in the feathers, mm-hmm. but also seeing their mom do something because all they knew me as before was a mom. Mm-hmm. I worked before they were alive and then I stopped working. Yes. So I think for them to see that I actually could do something and had, the brain and the willpower to do something like this, mm-hmm. I think it's made an impact on their life in two ways.
I absolutely agree. I think you're an amazing example to them of someone who took an idea, you believed in yourself, you believed in the idea, and you followed through, whether it was going to be successful or not. Thankfully, it was. Mm-hmm. So can you give some suggestions to moms out there who have an idea, who want to be an entrepreneur? Like, what made you just say to yourself, I'm going to do this?
I have to give a lot of credit to April, my business partner, mm-hmm. on this, because I feel like I am the less risk taker of the group, of the duo.
There is
I
always
think you need
one less risk taker.
Exactly.
I have a business partner too.
Yes.
And, she's the less risk taker then. Yeah.
Yeah. So. You need one person who has their head in the clouds and just thinks it's the sky is the limit. Yes, the dreamer. And then the realist. And I feel like, unfortunately for me, I've always been a realist. So I feel like, I would kind of take her down a few notches, but I feel like she also gave me the confidence that this was a great idea and we had to make it happen, which I think I can't say I would have actually done it if it weren't for her. But I also will say, I think having someone else in it with you, while it's just like a marriage or any kind of other partnership, mm-hmm. You have to work together to, help each other out and, communicate well and all of those things. But I also think, when over the last 10 years, when I've been discouraged or we've had a failure in some way, she will lift me back up and vice versa when she's feeling like frustrated or down. So I think in those ways, but I think it was really just, we did kind of a small test case and then we live in a community where people were super supportive mm-hmm. and we were like, now there's no turning back. We've talked about it. We're moving, like we've gotten mm-hmm. so far, we can't go back now.
Right.
So that's what at the very end mm-hmm. kind of, and our husbands were super supportive too. And, we figured we would buy one container mm-hmm. and if it didn't work, then we would not order another one. So we had 5,000 to sell. And luckily that first year they did. So it kind of kept us moving in that direction.
Kept us going. Yeah, yes. It kept you going. I think, I've mentioned on the podcast before how important it is to have a support system in a community around you, but specifically having women in your life that really believe in you and just mm-hmm. stood behind you. And I watched it happen because we live in the same community and just really also believing in what you're doing and knowing that your product was going to make a big difference in their lives as well. So I think that can be a big motivator.
Well, right. And you guys helped us with our first launch party. And there were actually several other women in the community that were launching businesses around the same time. So it felt great because you could see people were sending their kids off to school. People had a little more time, just like elementary school, but you had more time in your day. And there were a lot of ideas in this area and a lot of people actually making things happen. And so it felt like it felt like a surge of good, like community, good women, strong women. And so, yeah, it was a great time to do it.
It really was. If I look back, it really was. It was like this little group of female entrepreneurs who had ideas, but had small kids, and we all had to help each other and we all had to support each other. And so I would encourage anyone out there to find a little business community if you're thinking or having an idea and let them support you and you support them and vice versa. So I'd really encourage that because that was a really great time for all of us. And it gave us something outside of our families to focus on and to have and to, really try to give back to the people around us,
Yes, I can't tell you how many coffees and lunches April and I had, and it was actually more like 11 years ago when it was the idea was kind of bubbling up to the surface,
right?
That we would take any lunch or any coffee that people would give us, and also vice versa. As we got going, we would help the people behind us, and we would take calls and we would take meetings and, kind of turn around and pull the girls up that, or, people up that were, how did you do this? How did you do this? And I feel like that was the other kind of giving back component that April and I really focused on. Was we had a lot of help from people that gave us contacts, that gave us referrals, that gave us social media help, that gave us even PR. We didn't have a PR person, and people, I know someone at this magazine that they would talk to you. And so I feel like it was really important to us to look behind, and the people who were trying to launch businesses or get started, we put them in contact with a lot of people that helped us, or we gave them the tools that we got, because I felt like once it was given to us, we had to pay it forward, and it was our responsibility to do that. So that was, something else that we feel strongly about. We take every meeting. I go to every high school that asks for an entrepreneur class. I'm actually going next Tuesday. I presented for 4 years there because I feel like what we didn't know, we had to be scrappy and find out. And if someone's willing to share, then, you're so appreciative.
One of my secret loves is skincare. I absolutely cherish the 20 minutes of quiet time I have in the morning when my kids are still asleep and my husband leaves for work. I wash my face and apply my skincare while listening to podcasts, music, mantras, and sometimes just in silence. It is the little bit of me time before the hectic day starts. eCosmetics offers the best in beauty from the biggest names in beauty, all in one place. They have great prices, exceptional service, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee. I love being able to find my favorites all in one place. Something that is also super important to me is when I shop brands that I buy from a brand that believes in helping others and impacting communities. eCosmetics participates in charitable efforts through the platform Good Shop, where a portion of the purchases made through their site contributes to various causes. This allows customers to support charities while shopping for beauty products. If you are looking for a one-stop shop for all of your beauty needs, you should check out eCosmetics. Use my code SAVVY25, that's SAVVY25 at checkout for 25% off. I'll also provide links in the show notes. So, studies suggest that regularly expressing gratitude can enhance feelings of joy and contentment. I mean, it's associated with lower levels of depression. It helps promote positive mindset. It even has physical benefits of, contributing to lower blood pressure, better sleep, fewer symptoms. How have you seen these studies of linking gratitude to happiness kind of ripple through, the people that you've kind of talked to and seen use your product?
I think just some of the notes that we've gotten, like I referenced earlier, and, people, I've never sent a note to a brand or a product that I bought, even if I love the product. I've told my friends about it, but I don't send, we've gotten a lot of notes of appreciation back to us for what, what was written on a feather, what someone noticed, something they learned about their kids that they didn't know already. But I also think, anyone who focuses on a few things each day that they're happy about, whether it's their Starbucks coffee or the sunny weather or the brand new shoes you're putting on. I think all of us can say that if we find a few high points in the day, even when someone takes your parking spot or something bad happens, if you start from a place of being thankful and happy, it doesn't take you down quite as fast. So if you're regularly looking for the things that you appreciate, then the negative things in your life don't bother you as much. So I would say, in general, I see that with my own life. And, I would hope that people who are practicing and, our product is really meant for one space and time in November, but I hope it kind of launches just the mindset. So you might not be actually writing, but you're thinking what you're thankful for. each day.
I also think it starts conversation. So what I've noticed when we started doing it and they were little, it'd start off, they were thankful for their mom or dad or friends, but then it would start then to ripple into, I'm thankful for the food on my table. I'm thankful that I have clothes. And then we would be able to talk about those populations of people who may not have food, who may not have clothes, and what we can do to help them. I also think it was such an awesome conversation to know that when you bought the turkey, that you were also feeding 10 other families. So can you speak to that collaboration?
Yes. So when we first came up with the idea that year or 14 months that it took us to launch from idea to, from concept to actual product, it was always our goal to give back. And we didn't know exactly the capacity. Obviously, having it linked with Thanksgiving, food is a natural kind of relationship. And then we started to do some kind of research on food insecurity in this country. And April and I were shocked that, a lot, when we started, we thought it was, homeless people don't have food. And then as we kind of dug further into it, just like we learned a lot about gratitude, we saw it's actually not that at all. It's elderly. It's people who work 2 jobs. It's children, many children. And so the food insecurity is people that your kids go to school with that they might not realize. Like hunger doesn't have a specific look. And I think as we've gotten involved, we've realized that more and more. And then as we were realizing we wanted to give back, obviously the pinnacle of all feeding people in the U.S. is Feeding America. And so that was the top quest for us, is somehow to get in, talk to Feeding America, even maybe 5 years down the road, they would take us. So we, when we did our launch party with Party and Kindness, we did it with the food bank of Contra Costa and Solano, which is our local food bank. We told them our idea and they were super supportive, and we're thinking we can give them, the money that we're planning on giving. And then through the help of someone we knew that knew someone that was on the board of Feeding America, said, well, we can at least get you a phone call. And so that phone call led to a partnership our very first year before we even made a turkey. I mean, we had them being made, but we didn't even have them in our possession yet. And they kind of let us waive some of their stipulations with corporate partners, knowing how small we were, because they loved our concept and loved the heart behind it and loved the gratitude piece of it. So our very first year, they agreed to be a partner with us, and we've been a partner for 10 years. And as you said earlier, I think now we're up to 1.63.
Oh, wow. Sorry. Thank you for correcting that.
Well, do you know what?
No, every meal counts.
This year we've had sales so far. So probably the latest information you had, but no, we're super proud of that. And, we wish we could do more, and we hope to continue to do more and hit 2 million and go from there. But every year, food insecurity almost gets worse, which seems crazy in the United States of America, where, we are not a third world country. And it's crazy that I think it's 1 in 7 children, so it keeps us going, especially in times where we're overwhelmed or feel exhausted by all of our to-dos. So they've been a fabulous partner, and we felt so lucky because hundreds of food banks all around America roll up through Feeding America. So anywhere where you buy a turkey, most likely there's a Feeding America food bank, in your area. Yeah. So that kind of made us feel like, first of all, our donations go further that way because they have the buying power and the corporate partnerships with the food companies. And then also we figured if we were selling nationwide, we wanted to support food banks nationwide.
So when you talk about food insecurity and not having enough to eat, and that it's the people that are really around you, it's been shocking to me. I volunteer on Tuesdays at the Monument Crisis Center in Concord, and there are lines of families, and it's just getting worse every week. I feel like there's more and more families that need food, and that these organizations that ripple down from Feeding America, that get Feeding America food, they get food from them and from the food banks in our communities. Just what an impact that they're making. And you are an integral part of providing the funds for them to be able to trickle down this food to communities like ours. And they're literally 20 minutes from where we live, from where our kids go to school, and where our families have an abundance. And so highlighting that through what we're grateful for, being grateful for food, specifically, and then giving them meals when we buy the turkeys is just a little slice of, our community trying to help other communities that are really in such close proximity to us. So when integrating a giving back component into your business model, that's truly inspiring and it's truly impactful. What advice would you give other entrepreneurs when they're starting out to incorporate giving back in a meaningful way?
I think that's really, you hit the nail on the head with that, saying in a meaningful way. I think, there's a lot of products that give back. And sometimes I feel like now you look at it and you're like, oh, I didn't realize, but they don't match up. I feel like when it's truly authentic and the giving piece makes sense with the product. But I think anyone who wants to take a portion of their proceeds and give it to anywhere doing something good, I applaud them for that. And I think, a lot of products and brands now are taking social responsibility for things. And, whether it's a pair of shoes or a pair of, you buy a pair of glasses, they get a pair of glasses, there's a lot of, and I think Tom's Shoes was probably one of the first to buy one, send one. And I think it's a really great idea and concept, but I think the authenticity too is you have to really want to be engaged with that and, feel strongly about what you're and knowledgeable about what you're giving back to. But I'm hoping our culture is changing and I think you see a lot of it where people who have been blessed with a lot feel a social responsibility to also give back. And I think that's, when I went back to work after being a mom, I knew that was going to be a part of it because we were comfortable and I wasn't doing it just for the monetary piece of it. I was doing it as, really, like I talked about earlier, proving to myself and my kids that I could take an idea and do that, but also knowing that, I wanted to make a lasting impact somehow after I'm gone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that also teaching our kids that is so important, that they buy from socially responsible brands. I know I try to buy from socially responsible brands, and I hope not only, teaching them to be philanthropists, but also to be very conscious of what they're buying because it's important. It's important that the things that they buy have a certain responsibility to the communities they sell to make them better, and they have such a unique position to raise money, to do bigger and bigger things and help more and more people like you are with 1.6 million meals. I mean, those are families. Those are real people who will eat because of your product. And I think really, really making that the highlight of when we buy things is important, and, teaching our kids throughout the year that they should be doing things to make their communities, a better place to live.
Well, totally. And just to touch on something you said earlier, with you seeing the growing people, number of people that are coming to the crisis center and Feeding America, seeing, huge increases in people that are coming. But all of us see it at the grocery store. When you go to check out and you see what grocery prices are and you realize there are people who have to decide whether to pay their electricity or their cell phone bill and their rent or get food. And if the food is something they can get, then they keep those other things, in check, and they can keep, they need a phone to reach their children or have their schools call. They need a place to live, so you don't want people to have to make that choice. And if we can take one of those stresses off them, then that's a win.
Absolutely. And, food is an essential. It's an essential for families, for nutrients, for kids. I mean, when I think about little kids who walk up in that line and otherwise wouldn't have had the milk or the eggs that we give them on Tuesdays, I just want to cry every time. I mean, I really want to cry every time. And I think about all the people that make that happen, you know, from the volunteers to a company like yours who is funding the food that trickles down to that line, you know. And I hope that these episodes on the podcast and women like Kerry, they inspire everyone to, you know, get involved in their community, give back. And, you know, you might not be able to do it in a way where you have this amazing product that sells millions and millions of turkeys, but you really can show up at your food bank, or show up at your crisis center, or teach your kids how to be grateful so that they want to give back to the people that are around them. And so I would really encourage everyone to use Kerry's story today as a, you know, platform or a jumping off point to do that. Hey, travel lovers, it's Melissa. Traveling with my family to explore new cultures brings me so much joy. And all business class travel can make it even better with their top-notch personalized service. Use promo code SAVVY, that's SAVVY, to get complimentary Black Car Airport transfers. All business class travel makes it easy to focus on what really matters, cherished memories. Visit allbusinessclass.com and start planning your next incredible journey. So, how do you see the women around you kind of following your lead?
Honestly, I mean, I feel like the people I surround myself with mostly have a heart for giving back or sharing sharing their talents, but also sharing their resources. So I feel kind of blessed that most of the people I knew already were looking for a way or were finding a way or giving away. And I also feel like our community provides opportunities for that. Like, you know, my son went and built houses in Mexico and for his spring break, and he came back, and I could see the joy, even though he was exhausted and filthy. I could see the joy that he had for spending the week doing that, and not, you know, he didn't get to go on a fun trip, you know, that you would think, oh, that's a fun spring break trip. But I would argue that his experience far outweighed any trip that our family would have taken. And so honestly, I feel like, you know, laying the groundwork, I think the parents who are showing, you know, a heart for giving, or, you know, teaching their children, number one, to be thankful and, you know, help the people that are less fortunate, but also, you know, model it in their homes. I feel like, you know, the women around me, I think almost reverse inspire me. You know, you're one of them that, you know, has, you know, consistently look for ways to help. And, you know, even if their main, you know, company or their main nonprofit or the things, they still are willing to raise their hand and show up for all of their friends and the things that they find important, or the, you know, the special things that they're involved in on the side of their daily lives that they found a calling to help. I think everyone shows up for them too. So I think, you know, it goes both ways. And I feel lucky to have found friends that have a similar heart to mine.
Yeah. I think as we get older, you know, you do gravitate towards women who have similar priorities to yourself. And I also do think, though, it may be ingrained somewhere along the line in your childhood. Do you look back at how you grew up or the way you grew up, you know, and see any specific point where you're like, oh, this is how my mom was, or my dad, or my family? You know, where does this come from? Because you are unique. Not every woman will go out, not only create a product, but a product that has given 1.6 now meals, you know, into the community. So do you think that comes from somewhere?
Probably. I like I said, my childhood was more humble than the way my children are growing up. My parents were divorced. My mom, you know, we lived with my mom, and my dad was still super involved, but, you know, they were both teachers at one point and trying to maintain, you know, one household in an apartment. And so I think probably part of it is, you know, your childhood and seeing, you know, but I think, you know, I was so appreciative for things when I was a kid. And I think many of us in our generation were, and you'd get one pair of nice jeans, not, so I think, I think part of it is childhood. And I think part of it is just, the people that you surround yourself with and the way your heart, I think some people just have a heart for giving. And, I think my sister and I both had it. April obviously had it. You obviously have it, So I think it's just cultivating that in your children.
Yeah, I feel as though sometimes it's kind of selfish because I feel like I get more out of giving than whatever I'm giving to the person.
100%. Yeah.
And so I think that I hope my children and I know the women around me are that way, where I feel as though even though they're giving, they're getting so much back from that, 100%. Seeing that they can make a difference. And I do think a humble upbringing, because I also grew up in a humble upbringing where I didn't realize I didn't have a lot because everything I did have was amazing to me. I thought I was so grateful for that one pair of jeans or, that going back to school shopping where you got one pair of sneakers and, you were so excited for that.
Yeah.
And I think I was scared in the beginning raising my kids here, after, we are very lucky and very fortunate. We've worked really hard for what we have, but you could give them everything and you have to be really careful that you don't just indulge them and you make them understand that there's more out there and that the money can go towards helping other people as well, and I think that message is just important for our kids to learn.
That, and like you said, when you do give, when you show up on Tuesdays, when we go to the food bank and pack foods, and you bring your kids and they, Bennett went to Mexico, they start to realize that too, that even though they may have to miss a soccer game or they might, not be on spring break on a beach. Then when they actually do show up, they do see it and they might not realize it at the time. But I do think my kids more and more, when they go to do something that's giving back, when they're volunteering, they leave and I can tell that it's lifted them up. And whether they recognize it fully or not, I can tell they come back and they're just a little more appreciative when they walk in their bedrooms and see. So I think, getting them out there doing the work, doing the serve days, doing the volunteer hours, doing the whatever, I think, it kind of sets the foundation for later. And as they're doing it, I think they are realizing that they're getting something too.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So as our time together comes to an end, I ask my guests these 3 questions. And so first, what does it mean to you to be a community change maker?
I think for me, it really is just giving back to those who are trying to do the same thing. And I try and show up for my friends who have nonprofits. I try and give my time when I can to others that are trying to do the same thing, because I think so many people showed up for us when we launched, that now that we're not putting in as many hours and it's not taking as much sweat equity to build our business, trying to support people who are either getting started or who are doing great work. And so I think that's really it, is the people who are either further ahead in the process or are freeing up hours because their kids are getting older and they have fewer people to drive and fewer, pickups and drop-offs, that you help others who are trying to do really good things in your community, because there are so many people out there doing amazing things. And if you take the time to look around, it's actually, shocking, but anyone will take someone who's willing to give a few hours or show up to an event. So I think that's really it, is, appreciating where you've come and you're trying to make a difference, and then trying to help other people who are trying to make a difference too.
I agree. How do you envision the ripple effect of kindness manifesting in this community you've built with Turkey on the Table?
Honestly, I think just the fact that people are using it year after year, and I'm hoping that as they take it out, it's a bright spot for them, and it's a reminder if they've fallen off on their gratitude journey or their practice of gratitude, that it reignites that gratitude when they pull the turkey out, and for their family, for their kids, for moms and dads to kind of reset and be grateful, because the month of November, we always say falls between Thanksgiving, where the kids get candy and get, and then Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate, the month of December, people are getting things. And so I think if the pause in Thanksgiving and I think when you say the ripple effect, I do think, like I said, when you're happier, when you're grateful for the things, you kind of give off those good vibes to other people. And so if you're coming from a place of being happy and being grateful that, the kids might say hi to a couple extra people at school, they might help someone out, so I think that's really the ripple effect is when you're in a great place and when your kids are in a great place, they can offer that to others.
Yeah, I would agree that if you make it part of just the value system in your home and how you walk through the world, that your kids will naturally start to follow that because they want to follow their parents. I mean, you are their example in life forever, but until they really leave the house. So you have many years to show them how easy it is to just do little things that make a huge difference in the lives of other people.
I totally agree. And I think the gratitude piece is included also. Like I always had my kids go up and thank their coaches after a game. Thank you, coach. Thank you. Because they're giving their time. They're donating their time, saying thank you every time someone at a restaurant drops something off at your table, looking them in the eyes, saying thankful, being thankful. I think like you set the groundwork then when they go out. Anyone offering you a service, anyone that's taking their time to help you get better at a sport, anyone that's teaching you, showing gratitude for people who are helping you is, I think, fundamental to being a good person and, spreading a good energy out. And I think, hopefully that comes back to you.
Yeah, I think it does. And I think that the feathers, even though you're writing them down, like you said, when you go up to a coach and you actually say what you're thankful or grateful for, when you read those feathers on Thanksgiving and you're putting that positivity out into the world, you're saying, out loud, I am grateful for my mom. I am grateful for my dad. I'm grateful for my grandma, my coaches, my pastor, whatever it is, speaking it out and embodying that is just the way to start that feeling of, oh, I want to feel that again. I have all of these amazing things in my life versus focusing on the things we don't have.
Exactly.
Yes. And so I've appreciated that over the years, just that moment on Thanksgiving where you're reading, how many feathers? 24 feather. That's 24 things that your family is grateful for. So I love that part of the exercise as well. Based on this journey, can you suggest one small act of kindness that people can incorporate in their daily lives?
I would say probably just kind of repeating myself to the last one, but thanking people that help you throughout the day, whether it's the checker at the grocery store, whether it's, in a genuine, like, thank you, like look them in the eyes. I feel like people are so busy now on their phones, on their whatever, that like showing appreciation, if you're there when the mail person drops off your thing, thank you. I think showing appreciation to people who serve others or do things for you is probably my biggest thing and my biggest pet peeve when people don't, engage and appreciate people who are working hard every day to do services in the community and with the kids, I'm very hard on them about that too, that people who are doing things, if you grow up being appreciative for the person that is taking your luggage to the person, I think it creates a great, vibe of that they give off, that they're, appreciative, that they acknowledge every single person in the world that are doing things. And I think it makes them want to go out and do things for other people and get that appreciation back. So I would say, I think just showing true and genuine appreciation to people that help you.
Yeah. That everyone is seen equally.
Exactly.
Everyone is seen equally, and it takes only a second. It really is the easiest thing to do is take that one moment to acknowledge someone who's helping you and that you see them and that you needed them in that moment and they feel needed and feel appreciated and loved, in that moment. So can you share where our listeners can find you and Turkey on the Table?
Sure. We have Instagram site, Turkey on the Table. We have a website, www.turkeyonthetable.com. We are on Amazon, and I would say, both our website and Amazon are great ways to get turkeys to your house and fairly quickly. And
Okay, I love it. So from our conversation today, I just want to leave you, the listeners, with a few tips on how to live a life with gratitude at its center, and in turn, teach gratitude to our children. So first, use a product or tool like Turkey on the Table as a guide to instilling a tradition of expressing gratitude. I love a good gratitude journal when it's not Thanksgiving time and our turkey is put away. So start every day with 1 to 3 things you're grateful for, because it truly can be transforming. Be an example to your children and make it a habit of verbalizing when you feel grateful or thankful. For an example, instead of saying, I love you to our children, we could say, I'm so grateful for you. And lastly, traditions create memories that last forever. It is never too late to start a tradition like Turkey on the Table with your family, no matter how old your children are. And if you don't have a family, start traditions with your friends or your community groups. So Turkey on the Table is generously giving our listeners 15% off all products when you use the code SAVVY at checkout. That's SAVVY in all caps. So if you visit Turkey on the Table today after our episode and place an order, you can get 15% off. So Kerry, thank you so much for spending time, and your beautiful message of gratitude is just so inspiring to all of us. So I'm so happy you came today.
Thank you.
Coming to fill up my cup.
Thank you for listening to the show. I hope it sparks a desire in you to dedicate even a small slice of your life to uplifting others. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow me on Instagram at SavvyGivingGal. You can also visit my website at SavvyGivingGal.com. Let's spread positivity together.